She has like multiple classes, so I apologize for that. But like at the same time, like, what am I supposed to do in this situation? Like literally, what did you do in that presentation besides do the voiceover with my notes?
So that's why I never met with you on Zoom or I never met with you on FaceTime.
I asked.
Exactly, you would request, and I would only do things in writing for this specific purpose. I did not trust you. So we have everything via text message. There was never you expressing an issue. There was never a, hey, can you have this done by this day? There were simple check ins, and it is all documented. When I sent you the final draft of the assignment, there was no type of, you didn't combat, there was no issue. It was great, it looks good. Can you make sure that you do the hard copy and the video copy when you turn it in so that way they can have both? This was never expressed once, and you had multiple opportunities to do so. So, right now, the reason I'm feeling the way I'm feeling is because, again, the only reason you're doing this is to try to devalue me because you feel attacked. And you feeling attacked because of me saying that the literature and because I'm calling out your behavior. Yet again, I am calling you out on your privilege. You now feel attacked. So now you have to try to find a way to devalue what it is that it is what it is. Like, I see what's happening here. And that's again why I never met with you outside of putting everything in writing. So
Okay, that's how you feel. That's how you feel.
So to answer, John, I think you asked, what could I have done? And I think the answer is something like, said right at the outset, Shanice, I'm the sort of person who likes getting things done early. Could we set some early deadlines for ourselves so that I would be comfortable with our workflow?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, about 4 weeks ago.
no, the only thing you said was, "Hey, I started reading the literature and it's not enough for me to pull from for an entire project." And when you said that to me, what I heard was he wants me to do all of the work because that's how this country works. So I waited to upload my notes. I waited until I saw you put something when I sent you, and I have all of this documented. I sent you the link for you to request access to our shared PowerPoint. You waited 48 hours to do that. For someone who was so rushed to get something done, it sure did take you a long time to request access to the document that we shared that was going to be the template for what we were doing. It then took you another 48 hours to start to add notes because you realized that I wasn't adding anything until you started to go ahead and put forth some effort. Then you decided, well, she's not going to add anything. You wanted to go ahead and put everything in. I never asked you to overcompensate. You chose to add those notes. I went in and edited a lot of the sexism and the misogyny that was in there and turned it into less of a sexist presentation, did all the creative work, did all of the recording, uploaded, and sent all of that to you. So, again, this is a you thing.
I will agree with you. You did all the recording. Do you remember the fact that last week you didn't know that there was a recording requirement?
I did ask about the narration, and I said I had no recollection of there ever needing to be a narration or a recording. And thankfully, you took the notes and you sent that to me and said, hey, we have to do either recording or a narration. So I went ahead and did both.
Okay.
Would you like to further attack me? Because I'm ready. Whatever you got for me.
I don't really feel I've attacked you.
This is a character assassination, is what this feels like. You're trying to assassinate my character because you felt attacked. That's what I need you to understand, like what this feels like for me.
I hear how you feel.
So, Shanice, I appreciate you saying that bit at the end, because what I'm noticing from the outside is that the person who's explaining what's happening in John's head is not John. So both of you are contributing to this thing where Shanice is trying to explain what's going on in John's head, and John is not explaining what's going on in John's head. So the only story we have about what's going on in John's head is Shanice's. And I hope that, John, maybe you can understand why it might feel that way to Shanice. But that's part of what I think the whole conversation today in the class was about, is that due to the way things are in the world, in America, things feel some kinds of way to some kinds of people. And when you're in one position, it can be hard to understand what it feels like from another position. And so this is a good example of what it can feel like when someone is in the position of having been devalued, or having had to do more work, or having been, expected to be, I don't know what we want to call it, agreeable and just do the thing, including all the emotional labor, right? When someone's been in that position over and over again, they can get kind of prickly about it. So even if that's not your active intention, it might feel that way. But there's also this thing where you're leaving a gap. You're not sort of speaking for what it is like inside your head, or what you are thinking. Do you see what I mean?
I see what you mean, but it's like also like, I don't know, Shanice, did you watch the video?
I refuse to answer to your whiteness. Do you see how you think you have the privilege to question my inner authority or to question my actions when it has nothing to do with what you're thinking?
I'm just asking a question. We were working on a project together. Did you watch the...
Maybe, John, we could reword that in terms of what it feels like to you on the inside.
Like, I have you not been in our group sessions and taken time just to be quiet?
I have.
So again,
I absolutely have.
Sorry, Shanice, I appreciate you answering, but John, I'm so curious by how hard it is to get you to say anything about what's happening for you on the inside.
The inside,
you notice?
Like, it's hard for me to be like an inside. Like, what am I supposed to say?
You could say things like, for example, this conversation is stressing me the fuck out.
It is stressing me the fuck out.
Thank you. Okay,
it's like hard for me to like talk about this, because like,
yes.
I have to like at every single moment have to like watch every word I say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So you're worrying about saying the right thing, and that's making you not say anything at all, maybe. Is that true?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Like, it's hard for me to say the words that I want to say and to offend anyone, and being someone that actually cares, and being a man of white person that actually cares. But like at the same time, I have to like also at every moment watch what the fuck I say.
Yeah. What is it you're worried about?
Upsetting both of you. You're a woman that's, I don't know, like you're Asian, Mexican, Japanese or something.
Yeah, so you have to worry that maybe I'll take it some kind of way. I'll assume something about you, maybe.
Yeah. And then like, I think Shanice, is like an incredibly intelligent woman, like, but at the same time, like, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, if I said the wrong thing at the wrong time, I'm fucked.
Fucked because she might become angry with you. She might judge you.
Judge me, or someone's going to like say that I said the wrong thing.
And then what happens?
I don't know. On CNN. Yeah. So when you're worrying about whether you're going to be able to express what you want to express and have enough trust built up that the other person will trust your good intentions and hear you the way you intend
what you're saying. If you don't have that, it is really hard to speak. I think that's true. Yeah, and that's part of our work together, is to try to generate the relational space where it's okay, right? You can make mistakes. I for sure have put my foot in my mouth more times than I'd like to count when I'm lecturing. And then someone will say something really mean, either directly in the moment or in my course evaluations, and I will feel like I have died a little on the inside. I'll feel terrible about it, and that's just life. But, that's the work we're all here to do, actually. Because you have to be able to face all of that if you're going to meet with people, right? If you're going to expect people to be sort of taking risks with you and being vulnerable with you, right? You have to also be vulnerable. It's scary.
But I don't want that to be on me. Like, it's like everybody.
It is. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Everyone in the class has to do it. But that's part of where, I feel a great responsibility, and I don't think I live up to it quite, but I keep trying to sort of make it possible for people to have these conversations.
Yeah, no, I think it's, Shanice, how do you feel?
I think I feel the opposite of you because I've had to be forced into a space where I can no longer bite my tongue, where you can still be a bit reserved because you're afraid of saying the wrong thing. I have to, I guess, overcompensate by always doing and saying the right thing. Like, there's no scenario where me being in a room where some of your behavior has been exhibited, like there's no scenario where I feel like I could have ever been quiet or like just not said anything. So I feel more inclined to have to speak up because of my own experiences and things that I've been through and systems that I'm tired of dealing with and tired of feeling oppressed. I have to be like, there's no savior coming for me. I literally have to save myself. And in order to do that, when I see something happening that has caused trauma for me in the past, I have to call it out when it's happening. So some of the things, that's why I always say I was triggered or trigger warning, because in order for it to be a trigger for me, that means I've had to experience it before. I've lived it before. There's a boundary that has been crossed. And maybe there's just a difference around the type of people you're with on a daily basis and the type of people that you are now in an academic arena with. That's why you feel, I guess, like you have to walk on eggshells. There are things that you can say in your personal life that are absolutely okay because of the room that you're in, but in certain spaces, who we are, I guess personally, I would hope that who you are as a person would be who you are in class. But now I'm seeing that sometimes, obviously, those two things don't, I guess, align or just are two different worlds for you.
You can also have, I'm thinking, John, of a way that you might be able to orient yourself toward conversations where you make your curiosity more apparent. I think you said you want to do good, and I believe you. And I think all the things you just said were so much more human and vulnerable. Right? This is scary. I'm worried people are going to judge me. Right? But those are things you can let people know, even in conversation. I have a thing I'm wondering about. I'm not sure how to say it that doesn't sound bad. Help me out here. This is what I'm thinking. Maybe XYZ. Is that terrible? Help me arrange that better. I feel quite certain your classmates would help you, actually. I think we all have areas that we have articulated better for ourselves. And we are able to say coherent things about it that make sense. And we have other areas that we haven't fully articulated, and we just have kind of mushy feelings about it. We haven't really put it into words yet. But other people have done work in different areas, have articulated different areas. And so when you're in an area where you haven't fully articulated it, other people can help you articulate it.
So I do have a question. After I shared the story in our group breakout room earlier, and you asked me about referencing the literature, what was the purpose behind the question?
I think it's part of the me trying to hide behind knowledge, and me like trying to like figure out like what is like believed, but besides beyond sort of the idea of, I think I hide a lot behind knowledge instead of learned behavior.
Okay, so when I asked you about, when I kind of flipped it back and I said, well, was there something that you read in the literature that was directly corresponding to?
I think that was me being upset when you changed the questions, when I had the questions on our presentation, when I was directly quoting some of the things we read,
Okay.
and me wondering if you actually read and watched the videos.
Okay, because I think the question or the statement I made was about the patriarchy and all of the systems being an umbrella of the patriarchy. And then you asked me, where in the literature did you read that? So we were talking directly about the patriarchy when you asked me about the literature. So that's when I said to you, well, where in the literature is there something that I'm missing? Was there something that you read in our class literature that would have helped me better explain the answer? But there was no class literature on that specific component. So that's why I wanted to get to the root of, why would you ask me that question when I was referring to the patriarchy if there was no literature in the class about the patriarchy?
I
That's
think it was just going. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I was gonna say that's where it came from me. Like that very, very moment was the moment that said he can care less about what I've been through. He's devaluing my experience. It was that exact moment for me. So I wanted to just pinpoint like the exact moment where this took a turn from us having a group discussion to me feeling personally slighted. Go ahead.
I think it was just me like wanting to bring it back to the class literature and like making it like contained to what the class is. Not, I wasn't trying to contain you as a free thinker, as a person of wanting to talk about a lot of everything.
So is it okay if so what I'm hearing is it's okay if we talk about race in the class, but you feel uncomfortable when we talk about the harm caused by white men or the patriarchy in the class, because that's a direct correlation of what just happened.
I don't really understand your question.
So oh, you got it. Go ahead.
Well, I suspect actually that part of what we're sort of grappling between is two different ideas about what education is for, which also is a Freirean question, right? Around the kind of more what most education is in this country, which is the sort of post-positivist vision of the banking model of education, where students are empty vessels that you fill with knowledge, that they meet certain criteria, and then you know that they know, and then they get sort of seal of approval. Now they are expert, which is one way to think about education. Another way to think about education is around the emergent experience of knowing more together, and how when people come together, stuff emerges, and they become they learn together from each other. And even here in the School of Social Work, I suspect you'll find both, right? You'll find some professors who want you to meet specific criteria, and you'll love them multiple choice quizzes, right? Where you get the number, you get it right, and then you get it right. And there's a right and a wrong answer, and there's specific material that needs to be covered, and you have to